Look at that capsule. Clean, pristine, like it just got waxed at a car spa. Some people are calling Blue Origin New Shepard's latest mission, NS-31, fake, because, and I quote, it didn't even get toasty on the way down. Meanwhile, SpaceX's Crew Dragon lands looking like it survived atmospheric hell. And the difference? Oh, it's a whole roasted marshmallow versus microwaved popcorn situation. So, why does Blue Origin New Shepard not scorch after landing? Find the answer in today's Techmap episode. So here's the scoop. Blue Origin's NS-31 comes back looking like it just left a showroom. Not a scratch, not a burn mark, not even a "don't touch hot surface" warning. It's a contrast to the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule, which looked like a toasted marshmallow, and the Boeing Starliner, which also looked scorched by heat after re-entry. And people are suspicious. I mean, if it really went to space, shouldn't it at least smell a little smoky? But before you grab your tinfoil hat, hold up. The truth is way less scandalous, and way more scientific. Blue Origin's flight? It's what scientists call a suborbital mission. What I call a very expensive vertical roller coaster. It goes up about 66.5 miles, 106.9 kilometers, just enough to say, "Wee, I'm weightless." And then it falls back down like your motivation on a Monday. Suborbital flights like this have a lower re-entry speed, closer to 1 kilometer per second, or 2,237 miles per hour, compared to orbital flights. The aerodynamic heating during re-entry is thus much less intense. Anyway, at least it is above the Kármán line, 62 miles 100 kilometers, the internationally accepted boundary of space. This is enough to push Jeff Bezos's ego even higher, because BO's main rival, Virgin Galactic, fails to do that. SpaceX, though? That thing's in full orbit. Crew Dragon typically flies at altitudes of 250 to 260 miles, 400 to 420 kilometers, for low Earth orbit, such as missions to the International Space Station. Of course, with that high altitude, when it comes back, its speed will reach 17,000 miles per hour, 27,359 kilometers per hour, or roughly Mach 22. So much faster than New Shepard. This speed is required to maintain orbit and is a result of the spacecraft's orbital velocity, around 7.8 kilometers per second, or 17,448 miles per hour, basically running laps around Earth like it forgot leg day. And when it re-enters, it fights the atmosphere. Like, "I challenge thee to a duel." The price to pay for such courage is quite high. Scorched, blackened, barbecued heat shield. As a result, the vehicle will need more rest days to be totally recovered. 10 out of 10 drama. Would watch again. Based on those comparisons, we can partly answer the question, why doesn't New Shepard burn? Well, that's simply because it's not going fast and far enough to heat up. Its flights are not fake. It's just chill, which is enough that passengers inside feel like they're on rides at Disney World. Like the guy who shows up to the gym, stretches for 5 minutes, and leaves. Technically there, but didn't break a sweat. The capsule slows down with parachutes. It's basically doing a controlled fall while looking fabulous. No heat shield needed, no drama, just vibes. That explains why people consider New Shepard flights to be just a fun ride. But Gayle King, part of an all-female Blue Origin spaceflight crew with Katy Perry and Lauren Sanchez, got a little spicy online. And she clapped back,
"Please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, 'Boy, what a ride.'" You know, we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much. No one called that a ride.
Okay, let's quick reminder. Alan Shepard, first American in space. Also walked on the moon. Also trained for years and could actually fly the rocket. Meanwhile, Gayle sat in a chair and took a very expensive detour to the upper atmosphere. The only training she received in pre-flight was how to buckle and unbuckle seatbelts. Her 4-minute mission in space was shorter than most rides at Disney World. More importantly, the New Shepard mission just carries passengers. No cargo, no labs, no experiments. just rich folks with a bucket list. The only science happening is your brain going, woo, when you feel weightless for a few minutes. So, at this point, many people wonder how New Shepard contributes to the development of human space exploration. To be honest, while orbital missions contribute more directly to long-duration spaceflight, research, and space infrastructure development, suborbital missions are beneficial in some cases. It enables fast, repeated access to microgravity for short experiments. Each suborbital flight provides about 4 minutes of high-quality microgravity, ideal for experiments in physics, biology, technology demonstrations, and educational projects. Take, for example, the NS-29 mission demonstrated artificial gravity by spinning the capsule to simulate lunar gravity. The capsule was spun at 11 revolutions per minute, producing 1/6 of Earth's gravity. In simulated lunar gravity, customers can accelerate their learning and technology readiness for lunar payloads at much lower cost. The system supports a wide range of payloads, from student projects to advanced NASA technology. NASA's Flight Opportunities program also regularly flies multiple payloads on New Shepard, including precision landing sensors, advanced navigation systems, and lunar gravity simulators. Blue Origin designed New Shepard as a fully reusable vehicle, which allows for rapid turnaround between missions, making it possible to fly payloads often and at a lower cost compared to orbital vehicles. Researchers can rapidly iterate and refine experiments, as New Shepard's short mission duration and fast reusability enable frequent access to space-like conditions without the long wait times of orbital missions. This is essential for maturing innovations before deploying them on higher-risk, more expensive orbital or deep space missions. Additionally, Jeff Bezos recognizes his suborbital vehicle as a testbed for the development of reusable architecture for future rockets like New Glenn. Lessons learned from New Shepard's design, build, test, and repeated operations, especially in autonomy, guidance, vertical landing, throttleable liquid engines, and lean operations, are being applied to New Glenn's much larger and more complex reusable first stage. This includes the ability to land and reuse rocket boosters, a central feature of New Glenn's design. Mastery of vertical landing with New Shepard is foundational for New Glenn, which will also attempt to recover its much larger first-stage booster by landing it on a drone ship in the ocean, a more challenging but similar principle. The operational philosophy and safety culture developed through New Shepard's human spaceflight missions help inform New Glenn's design for crew safety, redundancy, and cost-effective operations. In addition, New Shepard's frequent successful landings and refurbishments have allowed Blue Origin to refine its approach to reusability, logistics, and rapid turnaround, all of which are essential for New Glenn's goal of flying its first stage up to 25 times. Last but not least, the BE-3 engine, proven on New Shepard, forms the basis for the BE-3U upper stage engine on New Glenn, while the reusable BE-4 engines powering New Glenn's first stage benefit from Blue Origin's accumulated experience with reusable propulsion systems. While Crew Dragon missions aim at professional astronauts, and in Inspiration 4, civilians for multi-day orbital trips, New Shepard opens space access to non-astronauts, including artists, educators, and celebrities. So, to some extent, it inspires public interest in space. In conclusion, New Shepard is not really less valuable. It's more foundational instead. New Shepard is like the training ground and proof of concept for more ambitious projects like New Glenn, Orbital, and Blue Moon, Lunar Lander. Crew Dragon is already a key player in ongoing orbital exploration, so its current impact is higher. But if Blue Origin scales up successfully, New Shepard will be seen as a crucial stepping stone, like Mercury before Apollo. So, what do you think New Shepard's role will be in the evolution of space exploration? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments. New Shepard is a rocket manufactured by Blue Origin for space tourism. The rocket is designed to take passengers into suborbital space inside a crew capsule. The capsule features 6 large observation windows, 1 per seat. New Shepard is fully reusable, and as of April 2025, It has made 31st missions to space. In November 2015, it was the first reusable rocket to successfully make a soft landing on the ground, beating out the more famous SpaceX Falcon 9 booster by several weeks. Blue Origin was founded by entrepreneur Jeff Bezos, who made his fortune with Amazon. Bezos also purchased the Washington Post in 2013. Forbes magazine has ranked him as the richest person in the world for several years running. As of now, the publication estimates his net worth at $215 billion. The vehicle's height is 60 feet, 18 meters, with a volume of 530 cubic feet, 15 cubic meters. Blue Origin's New Shepard's first crewed launch was NS-16, which took place on July 20, 2021, to mark the 52nd anniversary of humans landing on the moon. The mission carried Jeff Bezos, his brother Mark Bezos, Wally Funk, and Oliver Damon into space. The flight was a suborbital spaceflight that lasted approximately 10 minutes and crossed the Kármán line. For a typical flight, New Shepard launches vertically and soars for about 2.5 minutes before the main engine cuts off and the capsule separates from the rocket. Passengers are weightless for about 4 minutes during the 11-minute flight and are high enough at an altitude of 307,000 feet or 93,573 meters to see the curvature of Earth. The spacecraft coasted for a few minutes in space before re-entering the atmosphere and using an autonomous, rocket-powered vertical landing system to touch down. New Shepard is named after NASA Mercury program astronaut Alan Shepard, who was the first American to fly in space in 1961 on what was also a suborbital flight. Passengers aboard the Blue Origin spacecraft, however, will enjoy more than 10 times the space in the capsule than Shepard did in his Freedom 7 spacecraft, according to the company. Up to 6 people can fly into space at once. The interior volume is said to be large enough for everyone to float and move around. The large windows will provide a view of Earth. In addition to passengers, the spacecraft aboard New Shepard can carry standardized experiments of up to 50 pounds, 23 kilograms, with larger options available for custom requests. Prior to flying in space, Blue Origin launched several prototype test vehicles. The first test flight took place in November 2006, and the first vertical landing, which took place after a short flight, happened early in 2011. A second test vehicle in August 2011 crashed due to flight instabilities, according to Blue Origin. Good news for all those who want to be honored as astronauts without the need to go through the grueling training process. The FAA no longer defines whether people who fly on suborbital flights are astronauts. In addition, the federal agency does not define where space begins. That means you just need money, a lot of money, to take part in a joyride for the elite aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard. Afterwards, you will be listed on the FAA's website and be recognized to reach space. That's exactly what happened to the 6 women who recently participated in the controversial New Shepard spacecraft mission, NS-31. More notably on the FAA's list, philanthropist Lauren Sanchez, the fiancée of Bezos, singer Katy Perry, and others aboard NS-31 are listed alongside astronauts from NASA's SpaceX Crew 9 and 10 missions and SpaceX's Fram 2 mission. So what the hell is going on? In 2004, the FAA created a commercial astronaut wings program for the crew who flew the vehicle above 50 statute miles, 80 kilometers, but the program stopped in December 2021. Instead of issuing wings, the FAA will recognize individuals who reach 50 miles in altitude on its website. With the advent of the commercial space tourism era, starting in 2022, the Federal Aviation Administration will now recognize individuals who reach space on its website instead of issuing commercial space astronaut wings. Any individual who is on an FAA-licensed or permitted launch and reaches 50 statute miles above the surface of the Earth will be listed on the site. That explains why people like Katy Perry or Bezos' fiancée are placed on par with the true astronauts in SpaceX's Crew Dragon risky missions, given the FAA's requirements. For some, that's enough to earn the astronaut title, but not everyone agrees. U.S. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy has a different view. The last FAA guidelines under the Commercial Space Astronaut Wings program were clear. Crew members who travel into space must have demonstrated activities during flight that were essential to public safety or contributed to human spaceflight safety. While acknowledging the crew was brave and charming, he argued they shouldn't be called astronauts. Why? Because they didn't meet the FAA's previous standards, back when the agency still awarded commercial astronaut wings. Under those older guidelines, astronauts had to contribute to the safety of spaceflight. And according to Duffy, the NS-31 passengers didn't do that. Also, Duffy highlights that the New Shepard flight is an automated flight. This implies that the passengers do not perform key roles or activities related to spacecraft control or safety, unlike professional astronauts or even commercial crews in the past. Then there's the training. NASA astronauts spend years preparing for missions. NASA astronaut training is considered one of the most rigorous and demanding preparation programs in the world, requiring years of intense physical and mental effort to prepare candidates for the challenges of space missions. To even be eligible, applicants typically need at least a master's degree in a STEM field, medicine, or a related discipline, with many possessing doctorates or extensive professional experience in high-stakes environments like aviation, engineering, or scientific research. The selection process is highly competitive, emphasizing technical skills, problem-solving, teamwork, communication, and emotional resilience. Once accepted, astronauts must maintain peak physical condition through strenuous cardiovascular, strength, and endurance training to combat the effects of microgravity, such as muscle and bone loss. They are also trained to manage the psychological stresses of isolation, confinement, and prolonged missions. In addition, they must master complex technical systems, from spacecraft operations and robotics to emergency procedures, often spending countless hours in simulators that replicate real mission scenarios. Facilities like the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory allow them to practice spacewalks underwater, simulating the weightlessness of space. Survival training prepares them for emergency landings in harsh environments, while international collaboration necessitates language skills, especially Russian. Overall, astronaut training demands an extraordinary level of academic achievement, physical fitness, psychological resilience, and technical expertise, all to ensure astronauts are prepared for the unpredictable realities of space exploration. But passengers on suborbital flights like NS-31, they complete a short training session after buying a ticket. Except for two people, including Aisha, a former NASA rocket scientist, and Amanda Nguyen, who conducted research at NASA. The rest lack experience in the relevant field. So crazy, right? Some former NASA astronauts are okay with calling these new flyers astronauts, but the difference in preparation is hard to ignore. More ridiculously, Blue Origin argues that their spacecraft crosses the Kármán line, 100 kilometers above Earth, which they say sets them apart, whereas their competitor reaches an altitude of 80 to 90 kilometers. Blue Origin's Jeff Bezos has even suggested that failing to cross the Kármán line could result in an asterisk next to the rival's customer's name when it comes to astronaut titles. In this way, Jeff Bezos has taken the definition of space and turned it into a cosmic puzzle that's harder to solve than a Rubik's Cube in zero gravity. On the other hand, some in the aerospace community have a more straightforward explanation. The term astronaut, at this point, isn't quite right. These are paying customers, tourists, adventurers. So simple. They aren't trained professionals on a mission. Space tourist doesn't carry the same weight, does it? Of course, we also acknowledge that a billionaire like Jeff Bezos isn't foolish enough to confuse space tourists with professional astronauts. After all, you don't become one of the richest people on Earth by mistaking your Uber passenger for a NASA pilot. Perhaps that's the real story here. To some, labeling these passengers as astronauts isn't about precision. It's about perception. When high-profile names step aboard, it becomes less of a mission and more of a media moment. The spotlight, after all, is part of the package. So here we are. The FAA no longer defines astronauts. NS-31's crew is listed on the FAA's site, along with SpaceX Dragon's astronauts, just for reaching 50 miles. But they didn't operate the spacecraft, didn't train like professionals, and didn't meet past safety criteria. Are they astronauts, or are they tourists? What do you think? Should crossing a certain height be enough? Or does the title astronaut still mean something more? Let us know in the comments. And the questions surrounding NS-31 go beyond defining whether the participants were astronauts or tourists to the authenticity of the mission. You heard right. A spacecraft launches. It reaches space. It lands. The crew steps out, smiling for the cameras. But what if someone told you it was all fake? That's the question swirling around Blue Origin's NS-31 flight as a wave of online speculation gains traction. From AI-generated imagery to door-opening drama, critics have pointed fingers. The concerns start with the visuals. Some viewers claim the footage looks too polished, maybe even generated by AI or CGI. Then there's the landing. According to skeptics, the capsule's descent seems too smooth. So smooth, in fact, that it raises doubts. Could a landing like that really happen without causing injury? And finally, the moment that caught everyone's eye. A person inside the capsule opens the door before Jeff Bezos arrives with tools in hand. If this was a dramatic welcome home scene, why did it look so staged? But let's look at the counterpoints. First, the AI claims. The footage has been analyzed using AI detection tools. The results? Very low, just 0 to 5%. That suggests the video is not AI generated. Then the landings. This wasn't Blue Origin's first flight, it was the 11th. The capsule uses a special airflow-based system to absorb the shock, resulting in 2 audible jerks that soften the final impact. Now about that door. Yes, someone inside the capsule opens it before Bezos arrives with a tool. But that doesn't mean it was fake. This could have been part of a standard testing process, likely involving communication checks and entry-exit rehearsals by the crew inside. Then there's the theory that sticks with people. Was the door moment just for the cameras? Some believe Bezos' dramatic appearance with the tool was more about public relations, a carefully crafted photo op. Especially since this flight was highlighted for its all-women crew and what many saw as a politically correct milestone. But even those who suggest it was PR say that doesn't mean the flight was fake. It means the event was used to promote the company, something not uncommon in today's space race. So, was the flight fake? Or are we witnessing a new kind of space travel, one wrapped in branding, symbolism, and media? The footage passed AI testing. The landing system checks out. The door moment may have a routine explanation. And this wasn't a one-off. Blue Origin has flown multiple missions. In the end, the questions may say less about spaceflight and more about how we watch it. What do you think? Is it smoke and mirrors or space and science? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk. On Monday, April 14th, Blue Origin successfully completed its 11th human spaceflight for the New Shepard program, featuring an all-female crew. The suborbital mission lifted off from Launch Site 1 in West Texas, lasting about 11 minutes. New Shepard launched with Blue Origin's RSS Kármán line space capsule, carrying Perry alongside crew members Gail King, Lauren Sanchez, Aisha Bowe, Carrie Ann Flynn, and Amanda Nguyen. The whole flight offered the NS-31 passengers about 4 minutes of weightlessness as their capsule arced above the Kármán line, the internationally recognized boundary of space that resides at an altitude of 62 miles, 100 kilometers. Though their time in space was short, all 6 stepped away from the experience feeling a serene sense of awe and humble amazement. It is the highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown. Trust, Perry said after landing. Each crew member brought an assortment of small items with them to space, including individual zero-G indicators, which are used to signal that a spacecraft has reached microgravity when they begin floating around the cabin. Billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have a lot in common, most notably an interest in space. And it has a point. When someone has already achieved immense success in their primary field, there's a natural drive to tackle the next big frontier, especially one as exciting and uncharted as space. It offers not only an immense challenge but also a way to establish dominance in a field that truly resonates with the competitive spirit. The appeal of space exploration isn't just about philanthropy or technological progress. It's about legacy, visibility, and a very human urge to be remembered as a pioneer, especially when those early milestones in other industries have already been hit. The space race feels like the ultimate proving ground where their skills, vision, and even ego can align to create something groundbreaking. However, Musk and Bezos' approaches to space exploration are quite different. On one side, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Blue Origin, turned his childhood dream into reality. Blue Origin was born from his vision to make space travel not just a privilege for the few, but an accessible frontier for humanity. With New Shepard, Bezos set out to make suborbital space tourism a reality, creating the world's first reusable rocket designed to take passengers to the edge of space and back. On the other side, Elon Musk, the ambitious founder of SpaceX, had a bolder dream. His mission was clear: to revolutionize space travel not just for tourism, but to make humans a multiplanetary species. SpaceX's Crew Dragon was built for a much more complex mission: to send astronauts to the International Space Station and beyond, all while setting the groundwork for human exploration of Mars. The difference in their goals leads to an interesting distinction between the two vehicles: Blue Origin's New Shepard and SpaceX's Crew Dragon, even though they may look similar in the sky. So let's find out. First and foremost, New Shepard is a suborbital launch vehicle designed for space tourism and microgravity research. It launches vertically, carries its passengers just beyond the Kármán line, 100 kilometers above Earth, and then descends back down under parachutes, all within 11 minutes. Crew Dragon, on the other hand, is built for orbital missions. Designed under NASA's Commercial Crew Program, it carries astronauts and cargo to the ISS, and has also supported fully private orbital missions. Because New Shepard is designed for suborbital missions, only about 3 minutes of that flight is spent in weightlessness. The reusable booster lands vertically, while the crew capsule, boasting panoramic windows, offers a stunning but short-lived view of Earth's curvature before gently returning. The experience on Dragon is much more challenging. The vehicle rides atop the Falcon 9 rocket, performs orbital maneuvers, docks autonomously with the ISS, and returns to Earth via parachute splashdown. Missions can last days to weeks, offering a complete orbital experience and extended microgravity exposure. As of April 2025, Blue Origin's Penis spacecraft had successfully launched 11 crewed flights. These missions, though brief, marked a step forward in making space tourism real. With a focus on safety and comfort, Blue Origin is steadily building a suborbital track record. Under NASA's Commercial Crew Program, Crew Dragon has successfully completed 11 NASA missions. Additionally, there are various private missions, including the historic Polaris Dawn mission, which reached the highest Earth orbit ever achieved by humans, and the farthest any human has traveled since the end of the Apollo program. The mission also featured the first ever commercial spacewalk. In terms of SpaceX Falcon 9, its booster has been reused an impressive number of times, with some individual boosters flying as many as 27 missions. In total, 46 recovered boosters have been refurbished and flown multiple times. As of April 14, 2025, SpaceX had successfully landed Falcon 9 boosters 416 times, On technology, Dragon uses 16 Draco thrusters for in-space maneuvering and is powered by hypergolic propellants, generating 400 newtons, 90 pounds force at maximum thrust. Its launch system, the Falcon 9, uses Merlin engines burning RP-1, a refined kerosene, and liquid oxygen. Powered by a BE-3 engine burning liquid hydrogen and oxygen, New Shepard has maximum thrust at 490 kilonewtons. Meanwhile, Blue Origin's more powerful BE-4 engine will be used for larger orbital vehicles like the New Glenn rocket. New Shepard is fully reusable. Both the booster and the crew capsule are designed to be used multiple times with minimal refurbishment between flights. Blue Origin has demonstrated this by flying the same booster and capsule on several missions, with rapid turnaround and a focus on operational efficiency for suborbital space tourism. Crew Dragon capsules are also reusable, but with more limitations as they consist of a reusable space capsule and an expendable trunk module. The refurbishment process for Crew Dragon is more extensive due to the stresses of orbital re-entry and ocean splashdown, making turnarounds slower and more costly compared to New Shepard's land-based recovery. To fly on New Shepard, you need to pay a ticket price that hovers around $200,000, targeting wealthy individuals interested in a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The vehicle's real value may lie in its role as a testing ground for reusable technology and in preparing for long-term infrastructure like lunar habitats and the New Glenn orbital rocket. The complicated orbital missions aboard Crew Dragon require a much more expensive price per seat, estimated at around $55 million by NASA's Office of Inspector General, OIG. NASA's current contracts with SpaceX, through Crew 7 to Crew 9, have resulted in a per-seat cost increase to $65 million. However, as a company always aiming to make access to space more feasible, SpaceX has worked tirelessly to reduce the cost of its vehicles to the lowest possible level. They developed the giant Starship rocket with the goal of reducing the cost of each launch to under $10 million, a very impressive price compared to other rockets on the market today. While New Shepard and Crew Dragon may seem like rivals, they are more like different chapters of the same story, a story of human spaceflight evolving in two directions: accessibility and ambition. Blue Origin focuses on building infrastructure for the long-term future of space, tourism and lunar habitation. SpaceX, meanwhile, is already shaping the present and future of orbital spaceflight, redefining how we access space, support the ISS, and inspire global excitement through private missions. Yes, they operate in different domains, suborbital versus orbital, but only one has proven its ability to carry professional astronauts into space and return them safely: SpaceX's Crew Dragon. And while Blue Origin is paving the road to space for tourists, SpaceX is building highways to the stars. Crew Dragon is not just a vehicle for sending astronauts to space. It has been trusted by a large national space agency like NASA, which speaks volumes about its reliability and the trust placed in it by the space community. It plays a pivotal role in crewed space exploration and space station support. The fact that Crew Dragon has been carrying professional astronauts on NASA and private sector missions, versus New Shepard's focus on civilian passengers, or researchers in some cases, positions SpaceX as a leader in advancing human spaceflight to an entirely new level, especially with its demonstrations of Crew Dragon's ability to execute complex rendezvous and docking procedures in orbit. Beyond that, SpaceX has pushed the envelope with the Falcon 9's reusability and Crew Dragon's ability to return from orbit and land safely on Earth. This significantly reduces costs and increases the frequency of missions, further driving the future of space travel. In contrast, New Shepard's focus on suborbital flights is a more limited form of reusability, as it only returns to a designated landing area after each flight. The achievements of Crew Dragon demonstrate its broader contribution to space exploration. So, what's your take? Which vehicle do you think really made history in space travel? Either SpaceX Crew Dragon with the long-day flights in orbit, or Blue Origin New Shepard with 3 minutes of weightlessness. Or do you believe that both have their own missions and goals? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. So, one more interesting tidbit. Have you ever wondered why New Shepard is shaped like a penis? The shape of Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket, a cylindrical booster topped with a rounded crew capsule, is based on standard engineering principles for suborbital launch vehicles and is not driven by aesthetic or symbolic intent. This design prioritizes aerodynamic efficiency, safety, and mission requirements. The rocket's slender cylindrical booster minimizes drag as it cuts through the atmosphere. Its shape reduces air resistance during launch, maximizing efficiency and fuel economy. The rounded crew capsule is designed to re-enter the atmosphere safely. Its dome-like form slows descent naturally and minimizes turbulence, allowing it to land smoothly under parachutes. This shape is common in re-entry vehicles across space history, from the Apollo capsules to SpaceX's Dragon. The crew capsule is intentionally bulbous, and for good reason. That shape allows for maximum internal volume, giving space tourists ample room to float in microgravity. Panoramic windows that offer stunning views of Earth for a few minutes in space. A strong, pressurized structure that keeps passengers safe in the harsh vacuum of suborbital space. Safety is not just aesthetic, it's structural. And New Shepard's capsule is built to withstand pressure, stress, and shock during both launch and landing. A key component of New Shepard's architecture is its two-part system. The booster launches the vehicle and returns to Earth with a vertical powered landing. The crew capsule separates at the edge of space, provides the weightless experience, then parachutes back down. This clean separation not only enhances safety and mission control, but also allows both components to be reused, lowering long-term costs and environmental impact. Another crucial factor in the capsule's design is the launch escape motor integrated beneath the capsule floor. In case of an emergency, this system can instantly fire and propel the capsule away from the booster to protect passengers. This system requires additional space and structural support, both of which contribute to the rounded, compact design. Here, the form again supports one key mission: safety. Although the rocket's appearance has prompted humorous public commentary, its form results purely from engineering considerations aimed at optimizing aerodynamics, safety, and the passenger experience. At the 2021 Code Conference, during an on-stage interview with Kara Swisher, Swisher asked Musk directly what he thought about the rocket's phallic appearance. Musk, with his usual humor, replied,
I mean, it could be a different shape, potentially.
The audience laughed, but Swisher pushed further, asking if there was a technical reason for the rocket's form. Musk, never one to pass up a punchline, added, "If you're only going suborbital, your rocket can be shorter." That comment, implying Blue Origin's limited reach compared to SpaceX's orbital missions, drew even more laughs from the crowd. When you're launching only suborbital flights, like Blue Origin's New Shepard, your rocket doesn't need to reach orbit, which requires much more speed and altitude. So technically, a suborbital rocket doesn't need to be as tall or powerful as an orbital one, like SpaceX's Falcon 9 or Starship. That's the logic behind saying it can be shorter. But here's the playful side. Musk was also making a not-so-subtle joke about the rocket's phallic shape, implying that Blue Origin made it look that way, and it's shorter because it's only going suborbital. It's a bit of classic Musk sarcasm wrapped in engineering talk. While clearly a lighthearted moment, the comment also reflected the ongoing rivalry between the two billionaires, one leading a company that managed to send astronauts to the ISS, and the other still stuck to suborbital tourism by then. 4 years later, Blue Origin eventually launched New Glenn into orbit for the first time, yet this achievement paled in comparison to the swift advancements of its competitors. The shape joke may be funny, but underneath it lies a deeper competition over who's really leading the new space race. This is made clearer when we put two representative vehicles, Blue Origin's New Shepard and SpaceX Crew Dragon, on the scale for comparison. Firstly, on flight duration and altitude. New Shepard's entire journey lasts around 11 minutes, with only roughly 4 minutes in 0G. It offers a brief taste of space and weightlessness on a suborbital hop. New Shepard launches vertically, accelerates for about 2 minutes, and then the capsule coasts upward on a ballistic arc just above the Kármán line, the edge of space, approximately 100 kilometers up. After reaching its peak altitude, gravity quickly pulls the capsule back to Earth. This suborbital trajectory means passengers experience only a few minutes of weightlessness before re-entry and landing. The entire trip, from launch to touchdown, takes about 10 to 12 minutes. Dragon, by contrast, stays in orbit for days or weeks. Achieving orbit requires much higher speeds, about 28,000 kilometers per hour, or 17,500 miles per hour, allowing the spacecraft to continuously circle the planet rather than falling back immediately. This enables Dragon to remain in space for days or weeks, supporting longer missions for crew and cargo. The difference in the flight duration and altitude stems from each ship's mission objectives. New Shepard is all about thrill tourism. Imagine strapping in, counting down, and then, suddenly, roaring skyward. In just a couple of minutes, you're weightless, floating in a roomy capsule with 5 other civilians, gazing out of panoramic windows at the curve of Earth. The whole ride is over in about 11 minutes, but those 4 minutes of 0G are unforgettable. New Shepard's design reflects this: safety, comfort, and the biggest windows in space. There's no pilot, no complex controls. Just an automated journey that lets ordinary people, with deep pockets, savor the edge of space. Dragon is a spacecraft with a job: ferrying astronauts, cargo, and science experiments to the International Space Station. Its missions last days or even weeks, requiring robust life support, docking systems, and the ability to withstand the rigors of orbital flight and re-entry. Dragon's interior is more utilitarian. Think control panels, touchscreens, and seats designed for launch, re-entry, and everything in between. Every aspect, from the heat shield to the navigation, is engineered for reliability and endurance because lives and critical science depend on it. So, how do these goals shape rocket design? New Shepard is a space roller coaster, short, spectacular, and focused on the passenger experience. Its capsule is spacious, its windows are huge, and its systems are automated for maximum safety and minimum fuss. Dragon is a space shuttle, tough, versatile, and mission-driven. It's packed with technology for docking, life support, and long-duration spaceflight. Its design prioritizes function and survivability over comfort. Of course, a space trip is essentially about enjoying and experiencing something new. Passengers on New Shepard thus need only a couple of days of basic training with the basic lessons. In just 2 days, around 14 hours total, you'll go from Earthbound to space ready. It's a blend of classroom lessons, live demonstrations, and hands-on time in a mock capsule. No fluff, just the essentials. You'll get the full rundown of your journey. What happens during launch, when weightlessness kicks in, and how the capsule gently returns to Earth. Every moment is mapped out, so there are 0 surprises. Not only do the theoretical lessons, but crew members also get acclimated to the actual capsule, including their assigned seats, harnesses, and the location of safety equipment like oxygen masks and emergency buttons. You'll practice hopping in and out of the capsule, strapping in fast, like under 15 seconds fast, and dealing with emergency situations like fire or a quick exit. You'll even rehearse using breathing masks, all so you're cool under pressure. Floating in 0G is the fun part. You'll get a taste of what it's like to float in space and learn how to move around safely. There's a method to the madness, especially when it's time to buckle back in for re-entry. There will be a little bit challenge coming from the physical check, You'll need to climb a 7-story launch tower in under 90 seconds and walk over bumpy ground, all while being able to handle forces of up to 5.5 Gs. Space is no joke. In the final rehearsal, you'll go through 5 simulated scenarios and wrap up with a final test. It's all about making sure you're 100% ready, whether everything goes perfectly or not. How about your luggage? Are you restricted on luggage weight? Well, you can bring up to 3 pounds of personal items. Think photos, a special keepsake, or anything meaningful you want to take on your space adventure. Oh, and don't bring sharp objects or dangerous weapons. In the NS-31 mission, journalist Gail King chose photographs to bring, along with a memento from her grandson, while Perry said she plans to bring something with life in it, to remind us how precious the Earth is. Former NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bowe planned to bring the flag from Apollo 12 and dehydrated conch chowder, the national dish of her native Bahamas. For bioastronautics research scientist and civil rights activist Amanda Nguyen, her trip to space included shells from the island in Malaysia, where her Vietnamese mother first sought asylum following the fall of Saigon, along with a handwritten note that says, "Never ever give up." Journalist and helicopter pilot Lauren Sanchez planned to bring the stuffed animal mascot of her children's book, The Fly Who Flew to Space, as well as a few personal items. And the interesting thing about flying on New Shepard is that it flies itself. You're not the pilot, you're the passenger. So the focus is all on your experience and safety. In the end, the whole process is built to make anyone feel like an astronaut, even if it's your first time leaving the planet. This is so much easier than taking part in the orbital missions. Crew Dragon isn't a joyride. It's a high-tech space machine, packed with life support, navigation, propulsion, docking, and emergency systems. Astronauts spend months learning how to monitor and operate every part of it, including jumping in with manual controls if something goes wrong. Emergency readiness is compulsory. From cabin depressurization to fires or even mid-launch aborts, the team has to be ready for anything. Simulations get intense and repetitive to make sure every move becomes second nature. Since Crew Dragon docks with the International Space Station, astronauts must be fluent in docking protocols and ISS systems. They also train on how to transfer cargo, run science experiments, and work seamlessly with an international crew already on board. Life for months in microgravity is more challenging than you might think. Astronauts train on how to move, eat, sleep, and work in that place. It's a whole new way of living, and they have to be good at it, especially on missions that last weeks or even months. Space is hard on the body and the mind. Astronauts go through intense physical training, medical checks, and mental prep to make sure they're in peak condition. Launch, long-duration flight, and re-entry all put serious stress on the body. To better understand, you can watch the image of Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams as they were back to Earth after 9 months stuck in space due to the Boeing Starliner's trouble. Notably, not every mission is the same. Some involve spacewalks, some science experiments. Others may require working on external hardware. So training is tailored to fit exactly what each mission demands. In conclusion, Crew Dragon training is no joke. It's long, hands-on, and mentally demanding. Every astronaut has to be ready to fly, fix, and survive, no matter what space throws at them. That's why the public found it strange when some NS-31 passengers realized they were astronauts just because they were in weightlessness for 4 minutes. More ridiculously, the only thing they can do in those 4 minutes is scream, showing their excitement. With all of that said, you probably have your own answer for the question of who is really pushing space exploration to a new frontier, Dragon or New Shepard? Okay, let's drop your answer in the comment section below. Can't wait to listen to your opinion. Blue Origin NS-31 was a suborbital spaceflight operated by Blue Origin. Taking place on April 14, 2025, the trip lasted for 10 minutes and 21 seconds. The 6-person mission was the 11th launch of the Blue Origin New Shepard space tourism program, which uses remotely piloted launch rockets to take a capsule with passengers into suborbital space. The passengers consisted of NASA aerospace engineer Aisha Bowe, pop singer Katy Perry, film producer Carrie-Anne Flynn, civil rights activist Amanda Nguyen, journalist Gayle King, and pilot and journalist Lauren Sanchez, the last of whom is the fiancé of Amazon and Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos. Their participation was announced on February 27, 2025. Blue Origin says it wants to open up space for everyone, but right now, unless you're a millionaire, a celeb, or just insanely lucky, you're probably not getting a seat on New Shepard anytime soon. Ticket prices, still sky high. The dream of democratizing space, still a work in progress. But even if most of us can't afford a ride just yet, it doesn't mean we can't explore what that experience is actually like. So in today's episode of Techmap, we're diving inside the New Shepard capsule, from the massive windows to that surreal moment of weightlessness, and uncovering what it really feels like to take a ride to the edge of space. Let's get started. On April 14th, under Blue Origin's NS-31 mission, the crew includes Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, Gayle King, Aisha Bowe, Amanda Nguyen, and Carrie-Anne Flynn, enjoyed one of the most exciting moments in their lifetime. Among them, pop star Katy Perry faced significant public backlash over her spaceflight. Many critics ridiculed her effort to portray the trip as a symbolic milestone for women in space, while also raising concerns about the environmental toll of private space travel. Insider sources say Perry now regrets turning the journey into a public spectacle and sharing symbolic gestures like taking a daisy with her. Still, she hasn't expressed any regret about actually going to space aboard New Shepard. 4 minutes of weightlessness aboard the New Shepard rocket that not everyone gets to experience. The live broadcast captured their enthusiastic reactions, with exclamations like, "Oh my God," and "Look at the moon," indicating that they were both enjoying the sensation of weightlessness and actively observing the view outside the capsule's large windows. So, how much does it cost to fly to space on a Blue Origin flight like theirs? Well, if you want a quick 11-minute joyride above Earth with 4 minutes of weightlessness, you just crack open your piggy bank and see if $1 million accidentally fell in. While it sounds crazy, bear in mind that in 2021, a seat on Blue Origin's first crewed mission was auctioned for $28 million. Today, the cost of a ticket on Blue Origin space flights remains unclear, with some passengers paying tens of millions of dollars. Meanwhile, BO's competitor, Virgin Galactic, has priced its suborbital trips between $200,000 and $450,000 US. That doesn't mean, though, that all passengers pay for the flight. Star Trek actor William Shatner flew at no cost in October 2021 as a guest of the company. Roman Chiparuka, co-founder of space travel firm Space VIP, shared, "It's not about money. It's about who you are, your social capital, whether you align with their launch purposes." It's kind of a package deal. Anyone over 18 can apply for a Blue Origin flight by completing a form on the company's website. No prices are listed, but the form states that a fully refundable deposit of $150,000 US is required to begin the order process. The selection process remains unclear, and a disclaimer notes that submitting the form does not guarantee you a seat on a future New Shepard flight. For the rest of us who are strapped into the economy class of life, watching launches on YouTube while eating cereal, it's probably the shares of actual experience aboard New Shepard that we're most looking forward to. There are some real experience video recordings of this journey popping off online, most famously the one of STEM influencer Emily Calandrelli. She is proud to be the 100th woman in space, as she said via the Blue Origin NS-28 mission, which launched on November 22, 2024. Her video titled "My Blue Origin Flight to Space" has attracted slightly over 5.3 million views as of the time of my video edit. Through her videos and some other sources, we can partly understand what the ride on board New Shepard actually looks like. As usual, before any risky mission into space, not excluding the 2,300 miles per hour Blue Origin launch, we are required to undergo pre-training. Specifically, Emily Calandrelli experienced 3 days in what is so-called the Astronaut Village, a luxury campsite near BO's rocket launch site in Van Horn, Texas, where space tourists stay before their flights. On the first day of training before the launch, from Launch Site 1 in West Texas, they visited a mock-up of the New Shepard capsule to get familiar with being in the spacecraft. The capsule looks like most of NASA's human spaceflight capsules. It's sort of a cross between a cylinder and a trapezoid. Entering is a little uncomfortable. The entry hatch is about half the height of a typical doorway, so you have to stoop a little to enter. The floor inside drops down about a foot from the bottom of the opening, which is also awkward. But it's a totally forgivable inconvenience in a vehicle that's built to go to space. What makes the New Shepard a modern vehicle, however, is its luxurious interior. From the moment you enter the New Shepard capsule, it feels more like stepping into a luxury airline lounge than a spaceship. 6 leather recliners, plush, angled just right, are arranged in a circle around the cabin. The reclining seats are so soft you might want to take a nap here, but surely the rocket underneath you will jolt you awake. Each one has something no first-class ticket on Earth can offer: a window to space. And not just any window, the largest ever flown in space. You don't fight for a view here. Everyone gets a front row seat to Earth's curve. More important than being familiar with the vehicle, the passengers need to get their seats custom fitted. It's not for luxury, but survival unless you want to get flung into space like a rag doll. If the capsule needs to eject mid-flight, those seats have to protect your spine from up to 15 Gs of force. No big deal. The crew practiced getting in and out of their 5-point harnesses quickly, ensuring they could maximize their brief time in weightlessness by not wasting seconds on seatbelts. Some people like Emily will be assigned to number 6th seat, an emergency seat responsible for fire suppression. They thus have to learn to identify and operate the emergency systems, including a button for fire response. On day 2, it was time for a full mission rehearsal. From boarding to touchdown, the team simulated everything, including worst-case scenarios. Think of it like a space theater, with real stakes. Each crew member also wore a bio button to track their vitals, heart rate, breathing, temperature, and fed data back to researchers studying how humans react to short-term space exposure. You know, excitement makes your heart beat faster. Who knew? The third day began with a moment of awe. The crew watched the actual rocket being rolled out and raised at the launch pad. Imagine seeing your ride to the edge of space standing tall against the Texas sky. Final checklists were reviewed. Weather reports, safety briefings, simulation drills. It all felt real now. Nerves? Absolutely. But so was the thrill. That's it. Those are all the preparations to fly on New Shepard. So, my friend, let's go to space. Finally, the day of launch comes. How do you feel right now? Are you worried? Are you afraid of your moments of vomiting due to space sickness? Don't worry, because this launch looks like an 11-minute space sprint from launch to landing. It is not a mission that takes weeks or months. You strap in. You wait. The countdown echoes in your ears.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, command engine start, 2, 1, ignition. Liftoff. New Shepard has cleared the tower.
At liftoff, your body is pressed into the seat, 1.5 to 3 Gs, just enough to feel it in your chest, like a roller coaster on steroids. The rocket climbs. Higher. Faster. Until finally, silence. The engines cut out.
A few moments later.
Congratulations. You just crossed the Kármán line, the boundary of space. Welcome to microgravity. You unbuckle. Push off. Drift. Laugh. Toss candy. Do a lazy spin. For about 4 minutes, you are truly free. Out the window, a black sky and a blue planet. And in that moment, it hits you. This is what astronauts feel. You float. You grin. Then a light flashes. It's time to buckle back in. Gravity's coming back, fast. The capsule re-enters. Parachutes deploy. You drop gently into the desert again. Total time? About 11 minutes. But here's the wild part. You just crossed the Kármán line. Officially space. And that means you're now listed on the FAA's astronaut registry. Right alongside NASA's SpaceX Crew 9, Crew 10, or SpaceX's Polaris Dawn, whose astronauts spent days, or even months, orbiting Earth, conducting historical research, fixing space toilets, and surviving micrometeorite scares. Meanwhile, you floated for 4 minutes and got a certificate. It's kind of like getting a gold medal for climbing a flight of stairs, while others ran an ultramarathon. But hey, they were space stairs. So it still counts. Is it worth $1 million price tag? To be honest, for super rich like you, money is just a count. If you're after zero-G selfies, epic bragging rights, and a cosmic view few have seen, maybe it is. Because while you may not orbit Earth, you touch the edge of forever. And not many people can say that. If you liked this inside look at New Shepard, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on what you do during your 4 minutes in space. Want more deep dives on commercial spaceflight? Hit that bell icon. This ride's just getting started. And now let's listen to the real shares of those who actually flew on New Shepard. Sarah Sabri, the first Egyptian in space, described the flight as overwhelmingly emotional. It was more than anything I can put words to. To be honest, I did not expect it to be so emotional. I couldn't stop crying. It was just uncontrollable. It was just beautiful. And the sensation that I felt the most out of all of this is that I think everyone on Earth needs to experience this. Every single person needs to see this, because everyone should be able to see this. Kobe Cotton, Dude Perfect, called it the most fun 12 minutes of my life, like truly. He said seeing Earth from space made him feel so small in a really cool way. He also admitted he planned to film content for his channel, but forgot about it once he was in space, overwhelmed by the experience. Vanessa O'Brien, an explorer and author, reflected on the historic nature of flying as a private citizen, noting how commercial spaceflight is opening up new frontiers for ordinary people, not just career astronauts. Steve Young, a telecommunications executive, simply said, "I had obviously a very emotional touch from it, and I'm going to leave it at that." William Shatner has also described his New Shepard flight as deeply moving and life-changing. Blue Origin's New Shepard is a reusable, suborbital rocket system designed for space tourism and research. It's named after Alan Shepard, the first American in space. The New Shepard system consists of a rocket and a crew capsule that can carry up to 6 passengers or a combination of passengers and cargo.